Who's heading to semifinals? The final 2 team tests are done. CrossFit East Nashville continues to show they are the beasts in the East. A team in Europe looks to take a shortcut to the top of their leaderboard. And can the mayhem continue in Oceania? We recap the final day of team quarterfinals next.
Hi, and welcome everybody inside the Talking Elite Fitness Studio. Tommy Marquez here with our live Day 2 recap of team quarterfinals. 3 more tests were on tap for day number 2 of the competition. But first, we're going to get you caught up on the overall leaders from around the globe in each one of the 7 regions. We updated you on our leaders from day number 1, and in total, 6 of the 7 day 1 leaders managed to hold on coming out of day number 2. CrossFit FBDV Mayhem Africa was the only team to overtake the top spot in day number 2 now. But your overall leader worldwide was CrossFit Invictus, beating out East Nashville Proven by just 1 point. And we're joined now by Lauren Khalil, our North America correspondent, who had the chance to catch up with CrossFit Invictus. Lauren, when you talked to them yesterday, even though they have a podium finish under their belt, did you get the sense that maybe they're still competing with a bit of a chip on their shoulder?
That's exactly right, Tommy. I mean, who wouldn't be happy when they're standing on the podium? But for this team, Team Invictus, they did not want 3rd place. They wanted to stand on top of the podium. And that's exactly what they're looking to do at the games this year. Looking back at the CrossFit Games in 2022, all of their events, they were top 10 finishes. And then 7 of the 11 workouts, they finished in the top 5. So this is an incredibly consistent team that we're talking about. They have potential to fight for the podium. And this is also possibly the last year that all 4 of these teammates can do so together, as some of their teammates have aspirations to possibly compete in the individual competition next year.
Well, it certainly looks like they're making the most of their possible final year as a team so far. And the team that they did beat out by just 1 point, East Nashville Proven. Lauren had the chance to catch up with them yesterday, where they shared some insight on the fact that they're still dialing in some of the finer teamwork details.
As we work together more as a team, like things definitely become more nonverbal. And like, I guess in the kind of, with the workouts from this weekend, there wasn't as much opportunity for that because the synchro was relatively simple, I think, like across the board. But like, we can definitely feel like a lot of the warm work that we've done, like seeing noticeable improvements and being able to eliminate, verbal communication there and rely more on the kind of nonverbal stuff like body cues, is definitely improving rapidly. And I think it is also feels a lot better as an athlete to like not have to try and talk when you're super screwed up. So it definitely it helps a lot.
Yeah, even though Taylor and I have been together for a long time too, there's still things we're learning. Yeah, it's like synchro shoulder to overhead. That was a new one for us actually. So yeah, we had some like communication things happen. So
where do I look?
We're still.
Yeah, wait, take me through that. What was going on with communication during that one?
Essentially, she was making me go a lot faster than I was used to. So it felt like a no rep to me. I'm like, my knees are not locking out by the time you're coming down. Like, I'm not getting there. You have to wait for me, right? So we're having this like internal panic.
Taylor was just yelling at me the whole workout. And then we reviewed it and they were all fine
to make sure that it's good. So she's trying to stare at my knees as she's locking out. There's this whole situation. But yeah, we went back and looked at it. And it was literally like, they're all perfect. Like, well, it just felt bad to me, I guess. I don't know.
I know what I'm doing.
Oh man, always it seems like it's always a good time with that crew. But Lauren, when you chatted with them yesterday, they mentioned the synchro element. They share any insight how they're managing to work on that, especially with a newcomer like Tim?
Yeah, for sure. This team is amazing. I mean, they look like the Brady Bunch sitting there all together on the couch. They had a couple of dogs too. But Tim had mentioned that the couple trips that he's taken to Nashville from central New York, he's been working specifically with Tola so that the 2 of them can get timing down when it comes to synchro work, specifically with the barbell cycle speed. Tim said that the first time that the entire team jumped up to do chest to bars, Andrea started yelling at him and the rest of the team started laughing because his pace was so much slower than the rest of them. So definitely a learning curve competing as an individual formerly and now having to keep up with an entire team's pace on rep speed.
And I know you caught up with them before the leaderboards went live, but did they happen to share with you maybe what their goals were for quarterfinals coming in?
Mm. Okay, so this back and forth was my favorite part of the interview, so I'll just share a bit of it. Now, Tola said, quote, "I think our goal is definitely to win everything that we can." Andrea immediately jumped in and interrupted and said, "It's not I think, our goal is." And then Taylor kind of backed it up with saying that she wants to win everything, whether that's realistic or not. That really is the goal and the intent. But then Tola mentioned that, of course, winning is the priority, but also gathering data throughout the weekend. That's really what they were here to do. Learn how they communicate as a team, both verbally and with their body language, and also what are some of the strengths and weaknesses that maybe they'll have to alter before semifinals. They mentioned that they're going to be doing a ton of squatting, and also right now the priority is also going to be training with the worm, which more than likely we'll probably see at semifinals.
I love the confidence from the two-time Affiliate Cup champions to correct them and say, no, no, this is what our goal is. But thinking about the region that they're in North America East, what
Mhm.
other teams should we keep an eye on to maybe push Proven once we get to semifinals?
Sure. I think another team that we can be looking at is going to be CrossFit OBA. 3 out of the 4 of their athletes are returning with the addition of Emily Lundberg. She's from Sweden. She formerly was competing as an individual, as a strong competitor in Europe, finishing 10th last year at strength and depth. As for the rest of the team, those that are returning, they finished 11th last year at the games. That's Kelsey Keel, Joey Tortora, and Nick Hetch. Collectively, this team has 8 years of team games experience. And I think that experience is going to prove that this is a top contender, especially moving forward into the North America East semifinal.
Yeah, and that team managed to move up into second overall after sitting in the top 5 on day number 1. And
Mhm.
moving to the other half of the continent, obviously Invictus is the big name there. But looking elsewhere in North America West, what other team can we maybe expect to try and crash that sea of green party that Invictus seems to have atop the leaderboard?
Yeah, I think one of the other interesting and notable teams that we're going to keep our eye on is going to be the Franco's Misfits. They were just 9 points below Invictus in the West. And then after them, the next team was 18 points behind. The team has Alexis Johnson, Brandon Luckett, Logan Collins, and Shaylin Laurie. Now, Alexis, she has both individual and team games experience. Last year, she was just outside of the podium, finishing 5th overall with Team CrossFit Mayhem Independence. Might remember her from there. Looking at Brandon, he has 3 years of individual games experience. Logan has 4. And then Shaylin, she would have been at the games last year on Team CrossFit Shoe Fly Storm Squadron after finishing 2nd at the MAC until her team was disqualified when one of her teammates tested positive for a banned substance. But again, high caliber athletes that we're talking about. Clearly, this is another team with experience. That's one of the things that we're going to continue talking about, is keeping an eye on those types of team, not necessarily team experience together, but I think nonetheless it's going to help them when we're looking at semifinals in just a couple of weeks.
Yeah, team individual experience by itself is a valuable asset, especially
Mhm.
in this constantly shifting affiliate cup format. Lauren, great stuff. Thank you as always, and thank you for all the hard work across the weekend. I'll let you go enjoy your weekend a little bit.
Thanks, Tommy.
Moving on now, moving down under to Oceania. Torian Mayhem has had a clean run through quarterfinals thus far, and we had a chance to catch up with them earlier where they shared a little bit of the recipe for their immediate success.
I think like simply the talent on paper is like pretty high caliber. Like I don't think there's ever been a team of this many good athletes on paper individually. And then the secret ingredient, it's pretty cliche, but it's true. It's just the chemistry. Like we just get along really well, good mates. There's a really high level of mutual respect, and it's just really easy to work together and to be vulnerable and to like hit your home runs out of the park because you're supported. But it's also really easy to fail because you know your teammates will pick you up.
We are joined now by our Oceania correspondent, the most handsome man down under, Jeremy Austin. Now, Jeremy, I mean, you called the shot. You said it was Torian Mayhem and basically then everyone else. And looking at how they dominated this region, what is the ceiling for this team? Can they make history at the games?
Well, you look at the worldwide leaderboard currently, they are only sitting 9 points back from Invictus, 8 points back from Proven. There is a big gap between them and No Shortcuts down to 47 points. What does that mean when they get to the games? Well, obviously we know it's a different kettle of fish over there, but if you look at those results, it's going to be, I think, a 3-horse race once they do get to the games. If we look forward to the Torium Pro in just a few short weeks, they are way out in front of every other team. 5 points, 5 wins in each of the quarterfinal events that they did. The next best placed is 25 points back to the 6-4 Army endgame. So I don't think when you talk ceilings, these guys are definitely going to be the #1 at the Torium Pro semi-final. And I don't think anyone is really going to worry them once they do get there.
Yeah, and with such a rich history of the sport down in that region, it would be nice to finally see a team from there climb the mountaintop and make it onto the podium. But looking down the rest of the leaderboard, the other teams that are going to join them at the CrossFit Games, what are some other teams that you've kind of got your eye on now that day 2 is settled?
Well, if you have a look at the top 5 positions in the leaderboard, you've got Torian Mayhem obviously at the top, and then 6-4 Army, probably going to love that reference as well, Tommy. Third place, Torian Black. Now, they moved up after yesterday. Now, exciting for them, and a funny story that Brandon Swan shared with me. He watched them do event number 2. Now, he said, you're probably going to get in a little bit of trouble with your video, so you better redo this video and redo the event again just in case. So they had to redo event number 2 twice before they moved on to day 2 of competition, but they jump up massively into that 3rd spot. Into the 4th spot, PFC, Progressive Force, Concept from down in Melbourne. They are really one to watch as well. And the Young Guns over there at East Tamaki in New Zealand, Gabby Napa, Abby Osborne, Jack Laker, and also one of the Fowler brothers, Sam Fowler. We haven't heard much about Sam. We know Ben and Luke competed with Selwyn at the CrossFit Games last year. Big Ben, he's out of competition this year with a knee injury. Luke goes into individual competition. So look out for Sam Fowler to maybe do something special and maybe get another Fowler brother to the games this year.
Man, it feels like there's a million Fowler brothers, the new Smith
There's
brothers.
another one as well, Tommy.
Oh my gosh. Well, I guess that they just have a factory of fitness coming out from Oceania. Taking one more look at the leaderboard, we were talking about this a little bit earlier, but there is a bit of an underdog story, maybe outside of the top 10 there in Oceania.
One really close to my heart as well, another New Zealand team, CrossFit Mecca. Jolene Neville, who is team captain for CrossFit Mecca, she's been in the game for 12 years, as has Dylan and Tegan Mitai. So 12 years experience in CrossFit. They get together with Awani Joby, and they put together a pretty disappointing performance in day 1, but they bounced back yesterday and jump into 13th position. So they have got to be really excited, and you know what experience does. You can't beat experience. So we're going to see something special from these 3 old dogs and the youngster coming through. We'll have to wait and see.
Man, I always love an underdog story, and you know the story of some of those athletes that have been trying to break through for so long and finally managed to do. Though, Jeremy, thanks so much. Appreciate you checking in throughout the weekend and keeping us up to date down in Oceania. I know it's Saturday already, so I'll let you go. Enjoy your Saturday.
Beautiful. Drink some coffee. Thanks, Tommy.
Oh man. Good coffee down in Australia is definitely a common theme anytime you go to visit. But moving over to Europe now, and the team that led wire to wire after both days of competition was No Shortcuts CrossFit. Nico Rona, our European correspondent, had the chance to catch up with team captain Andre Houdet, who revealed a surprising fact as to why the team was potentially hoping for a different finish than on top of the leaderboard.
Yeah, we're pretty happy with how it went. I think we did, what we could for now. We almost hope that, that maybe didn't go so well in the leaderboard, so we can take some things away with us for the next couple of months building up to the semifinals. As that will kind of work as fuel on the fire, to optimize training and to fix the things we weren't very good at. But currently so far, I think it's been a good execution, no mistakes, and everybody has done their best, and that's all we can really ask for. We know that it's still early in the season, and we're going to keep getting better every month, and the team will just get more and more dialed in. So we're excited to see where we'll stack up against the teams in the world.
And we are joined now by our European correspondent all the way from Denmark, Nico Rano. Nico, we just heard from Andre. I know you two are close. And even though maybe they're hoping for a different result for other reasons, it shouldn't come as a surprise that this team is at the top of the leaderboard.
No, Tommy, it really shouldn't. If you look at the makeup of the team, obviously you got team captain Andre Hude going to the CrossFit Games twice as an individual. You got Julie Hogart, 5 times fittest in Denmark, and an individual athlete in the 2019 edition of the CrossFit Games. You got Julian Krauw-Maskowitz, who's been with Butcher's Lab at the CrossFit Games in 2018 and 2021. And then you got Ninke Overveld, who's been at the CrossFit Games 4 times on 3 different teams. So this is, maybe you don't know them, but this is a very, very experienced team. And if you look at the weekend, 5 workouts, 3 wins, and that's how you spell domination. It was so dominant that had they sat out and lost the final workout, they would still have finished inside the top 10 overall.
That's certainly a dominating performance. I love that stat at the end. And moving 1 spot down the leaderboard, a lot of people were looking at Oslo Navy Blue in second. But even though they are in second, should be no time to panic for them, correct?
No, it really shouldn't. Now, we talked to Oslo and they explained this. They've taken a different approach in the offseason. They're going to take a slow and steady rise to the top of the leaderboard. They took 13th in the Open. They took 6th on day 1 of the quarterfinals, and now they're finishing in second place. So, the progression is going in the right way. And if this progression continues, they should be a very dangerous team in Madison.
Yeah, and I think you mentioned yesterday that there were some other teams on the leaderboard that we should keep an eye on that could climb similar to Oslo. You mentioned CrossFit Prestanda, who in 6th place, it seems like coming out of Sweden, they started to find their footing after day number 1.
Yeah, like we talked about yesterday, CrossFit Prestanda had a very poor showing on event 1, taking 25th place. Let's remove that event just for the argument's sake. After that event, they took an average finish of 4.7, and they actually finished out the competition with an event win on the final event, workout 5.
Yeah, it's always great to finish strong, if you will, as you're heading into semifinals now with them sitting in that top 10 position overall. But, separating out from those individual teams that we just mentioned now, but looking elsewhere on the leaderboard, any individual performances or things that you want to add that are noteworthy?
Well, I want to go back to what we just talked about with CrossFit Prestanda. Alexander Ellebro, he told him, it was my fault. I made the mistake. I'm not good at handstand walking in great volume. And, he just bounces back. And to come back and show your team, hey, I'm still here for you, that's very important. And that's going to be good once it's game time at the CrossFit Games, because you want those poor finishes to happen now and not in Madison.
Well, you get them out of the way and hopefully head to semifinals with a little bit of momentum. I love that. Give us a little something to chew on as we are moving forward the rest of the way. Nico, thank you so much as always. Thank you for checking in. I know it's late there. Appreciate the insight from out in Europe, and have a good rest of your weekend, man.
Thanks, Tommy.
Looking elsewhere now around the leaderboard and getting you caught up for the top results across other regions in particular. We're going to start over in Africa. We mentioned the one team that was able to overtake the top spot overall. FBDV Mayhem Africa overtakes Cape CrossFit for the top spot. Remember, only 1 spot goes to the games from that region. So certainly a race between FBDV Mayhem and Cape CrossFit moving forward in the team competition in Africa. And over in Asia, a familiar team sits atop the leaderboard, CrossFit Fly High. That is the Kolesnikov team. Remember, they were from KT CrossFit last year. They have moved countries but stayed within the same region. They lead wire to wire. They are by far the front runner out in Asia, hoping to make it back-to-back appearances at the CrossFit Games. And then down in South America, Sense Fitness CrossFit Mayhem Seoul. They may win for the longest team name of any team out there, but they certainly put down an impressive performance out in South America. They have 2 team members from the SDF CrossFit team that got disqualified last year, Melina Rodriguez, Santi Comba, but they have a strong contingent of athletes down in South America representing the Mayhem banner, making it 3 teams right now under the Mayhem banner that currently sit atop their region specifically. And so that's going to do it for all of our top results around the rest of the globe, but only one team now sits atop the overall leaderboard worldwide. It is the 4-person crew out from CrossFit Invictus in San Diego, California. Guys, thanks so much for joining me today. How's it going?
It's going great.
Oh, man. I know you guys are still settling in with the leaderboard, just kind of wrapping up a little bit. But first, I want to touch on the weekend as a whole and your performance. What were the big picture intentions for you guys before you came into this weekend?
I mean, honestly, just to prove what we're made of. You know, we've got a long season ahead. The goal is always just to execute the best we can and not worry about anyone else. And that's pretty much what we did.
And when I was down there at Invictus, I spoke to you guys a little bit briefly, and you had mentioned some individual focuses for the team. As far as like working on the individual components, what were some of the focuses, maybe things you guys tried to apply in the team format this weekend in quarterfinals?
Yeah, I mean, so honestly, I think we're all pretty good individual athletes as it stands. We always work on our individual components anyway. We all had a few, I don't want to say weaknesses, but a few skills we had to work on in the off season. I know for me in particular, it was strength, and you know, for the
Running.
running. So we had a few different things that we had to work on, and we did that, and just tried to come back to the team with those new skill sets. So.
Yeah, always got to work on that running. I don't blame you there. But looking at the tests as a whole this weekend, you know, we had 5 scored tests across 2 days. Was there any one in particular that you looked at now that we have the results and you're like, yeah, we nailed that one. That was our best effort?
I'd say honestly all of them. We took all of them pretty well, I would say. We were really focused throughout the whole thing. And I think we did a really good job from the beginning, like running through each workout first. And then once we got to the workout, I felt like we were pretty prepared and executed really well throughout all of them, I'd say.
You gotta love the all of the above answer on the score sheet. Yeah, we just smacked all of them. You know, and I guess you backed it up on the leaderboard too, because you sit atop the worldwide leaderboard. What are your biggest takeaways now as a team? Are you able to celebrate it a little bit? Is there anything you're able to pull away from, you know, winning overall, even this early in the season?
No celebrations just yet. This is step one. It means something, but it also doesn't mean anything. We have a bigger goal. There's a bigger picture, and I think for us, it's affirming that we can do what we know we can do, but we still have to keep working. So there's no celebrations until once August is done.
Although I might challenge that a little bit, because I did hear, didn't Devin just turn 21? Shouldn't she be celebrating a little bit?
We're not letting us celebrate yet.
I'm not allowed to celebrate till after semis.
That's fair. And
it's a little questioning.
it'll be worth the wait then for sure. But speaking of semifinals, we now have a couple of months to prep. What does that prep look like? What does that training look like, especially considering that you have multiple teams from Invictus joining you guys?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's super exciting. We've got other teams in the gym that are able to give us a push and for us to train with, so that's great. Probably going to take a little bit of our training outside, have some fun in the sun kind of thing, and just see where we can get to.
Awesome. Well, best of luck in the training, guys. Really appreciate you taking the time to chat with us here for a few minutes, coming fresh off the team quarterfinals. Best of luck in your training. Best of luck at semifinals, and hopefully we'll catch up with you guys soon.
Thank you so much.
Thanks again to CrossFit Invictus for taking the time, and congrats to all of the teams that participated this past weekend in team quarterfinals and to the teams that are moving forward to semifinals. Remember, all results are unofficial until the leaderboard is finally closed. And even though there is the close of the team quarterfinals, age group quarterfinals are just beginning. So before we get that going, here are a few dates to keep in mind. We are in the first submission window. That first submission window closes April 1st. That's when the day one scores are due. Obviously, the remaining scores are due on April 2nd. That's Sunday, and the top 30 athletes are going to move on to semifinals from the age groups. Before we get going, we want to make sure you guys get caught up on all things Talking Elite Fitness, and we have a ton of content coming your way. We just released the age group programming preview that should be up on our YouTube shortly. It features Jason Grubb and Annie Sakamoto providing their insights on all of the age group programming. Of course, we always have the time cap that comes out weekly on Wednesday to give you all your top line news stories. We have a Day with the Dead Boys feature where fitness meets wrestling. That is out now on our YouTube, and we will be premiering a new show, Death By, with Lauren Khalil, a little debate show that should be coming out in the coming weeks. And we'll be back again this upcoming week to recap all of the age group action in quarterfinals. That's going to do it for us here in the studio. For Lauren Khalil, Jeremy Austin, Nico Rano, I'm Tommy Marquez. Be sure to follow us on YouTube, subscribe to our channel, follow us on IG, and of course, if you want to, support us on Patreon. Thank you for watching across both of our live shows, and thanks to our whole crew that made them possible. Again, thank you so much for watching. We'll be back next week, and we'll see you next time.